this story spans the course of a couple years. Here we go. The bride, Pearl, her fiance, Greg, myself, Amy, my fiance, Steven, Pearl's brother, Lars, and his fiance, Sadie, are all the main players in this drama. Okay, I'm already picturing this as a very detailed story. So here we go. Pearl and Greg were engaged to be married, and I was asked to be one of her bridesmaids. Their engagement was especially long because Pearl was working abroad in Japan for 2 years. Trying to plan anything with her was a nightmare. She didn't want to be involved in the process at all. Wait, so the bride didn't want to be involved in the process. So at that point, I know I'm jumping the gun, but at that point, why are you doing a big wedding? You don't need a wedding party. You don't need to do this big wedding. If you don't want to be involved in planning your own wedding, either hire a wedding planner or don't do it. You don't have to do that craziness. She even admitted that she would have preferred a simple courthouse wedding, but reluctantly agreed to have a ceremony for Greg's sake, so her fiance. Once Pearl finally returned home, we had about 6 months until the wedding, so we kicked into planning mode. The only part she really cared about was the bachelorette party. She's a big partier. She wanted a big, elaborate weekend in Vegas. 4 nights in a hotel, a show every night, a club crawl, and a spa day. Okay, so we were kind of just talking about bachelorette parties, right? How they can be over the top. Again, if I was going with all my best friends and I wanted to do this, I would go along for it, obviously, to support and celebrate my best friend. But I always find it interesting when they want the top of the top, all the things, like 4 shows in Vegas, 4 nights in a hotel, a club crawl, and a spa day. That is expensive. I mean, I haven't been to Vegas in years, but just quickly add things up depending on the weekend. I mean, you're looking at a few $1,000s, right? Depending on what everything looks like. Here we go. The issue, the budget. No one she invited had even half the amount of money needed for that kind of trip. And she expected everyone to cover her costs in full. The maid of honor, Connie, did her best to plan something we could all afford. But after weeks of being shut down on every compromise, she passed the baton to another bridesmaid. So her maid of honor is essentially like, hey, look, this isn't going to work out. No one can afford it. Let's try this. And she's like, nope, you're not doing a good job. Let's have another bridesmaid plan it. Like, what? The final bachelorette weekend still included a hotel in Vegas paid for by Pearl's aunt, a drag brunch, and a bar crawl in downtown Vegas. We did our best with what we had, and it ended up being a fun weekend. Except Pearl pouted the entire time. She cried in the bar bathroom, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Now, obviously, we don't know why she's crying. My guess is it wasn't to her standard, maybe. But here's the thing. If there's someone that wants this extra grand thing that no one can afford, she's never going to be happy. You need to find happiness with those around you. If I were with my best friends just having a sleepover at someone's house, that would be fun to me. I don't need all these grand things. So this sounds like this person just wanted this huge thing and kept comparing herself. On the wedding day, Pearl and Greg were completely standoffish with the bridal party, even though we had bent over backward to accommodate them. She skipped the original dress rehearsal, then rescheduled for a day when most people weren't available, only to get mad when half of us couldn't come. Oh my gosh. Wait, so this is for the dress rehearsal? Wait, so we're talking about the rehearsal before the wedding? I'm so confused. Okay. On the day of the wedding, we were told for the first time that we'd be decorating the venue. Oh gosh, with only 4 hours left before the ceremony and needing to get dressed and take photos. So literally the day of, she's like, by the way, I need you guys to decorate this whole place for me. Here's the decorations, have fun. And they're like, wait, we still have to get ready and get all this stuff together. This is definitely a type B or C bride, as you want to call it. She didn't want to do the planning herself, so she left it up to everybody else, and that's just not fair. Like I said from the beginning, if you are a bride or groom and you do not want to plan anything, either get a day of coordinator, wedding planner, or don't have a big wedding. Because at the end of the day, it's not fair to your bridal party or wedding party to do this for you. They're not the ones getting married. They can be there helping and support you, but do not put this on them. Connie and I ended up doing shots in the bridal suite just to cope with the chaos. Despite all of that, the ceremony went smoothly and guests seemed to have a great time. But afterward, Pearl and Greg told us that we ruined their wedding. What? That sparked a long, drawn out falling out. So they're putting all the pressure on their wedding party to make it this amazing wedding when literally it's their wedding. You cannot blame the wedding party for doing that. Because as the bride and groom, it is your day. It's your job to organize everything or find someone that will organize it, not your wedding party. And if that fails, that's on you. 2 months later, Stephen and I got engaged. Most of our friends were thrilled for us, except Pearl. She was visibly jealous and made comments like, "Why is everyone so excited for them? No one was that excited for us," which wasn't true. And "Why is everyone helping with their wedding when no one helped us?" Also not true. So she's doing that victim mentality. She's thinking her wedding sucked, so you know what? Everyone's out to get me. When in reality, they all were helping, but she literally said she didn't want anything to do with the planning of the wedding. So she's putting it all on her friends for how her wedding day turned out. Things escalated when she found out we had invited Pamela, someone she had unresolved issues with. Pamela is a close friend of Stephen's. I had several conversations with Pearl about it and even offered to make some accommodations, like seating them on opposite sides of the room or ensuring that she was surrounded by friends. I even offered to uninvite them. She refused to tell me what she needed, so ultimately nothing changed. So that's the thing. It's like, it's hard when you have two friends that don't get along. However, you can't dictate who someone else invites to their wedding. So you can choose yourself, like, hey, I'm not going to go, but you can't get mad that they're still friends with someone. Obviously, there's always complicated and different reasons for things, but it's not your place to tell them who to invite. One night at a bar, Pearl, completely drunk, cornered me and interrogated me about why Pamela was invited and why I hadn't made her a bridesmaid, even though I asked Connie. I got away that night, but the next day, we had a 5-hour text conversation. 5 hours! Oh my gosh, I don't think I'd have a 5-hour text conversation with anybody. That sounds exhausting. Why? Oh my gosh. I finally set a boundary and said I wouldn't talk about it anymore. Pearl and Greg pulled their RSVP. I thought that would be the end of it. Can you imagine? That is crazy. So they're just mad about their own wedding day not being what they wanted. And because they can't take the responsibility themselves, that, you know what, they let it slip through their fingers, they're going to blame everybody else. Okay, she says, wrong. Over the next 4 months, Pearl and Greg excluded Stephen and me from events, harassed our mutual friends, and gave people ultimatums. If they attended our wedding, they'd no longer be friends. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. So it's like just what I said, how you can only control yourself. You can't control someone else has at their wedding or where other people want to go. So these just sound like very nasty people to me. The group was exhausted by their drama. Our entire friend group was split. I was convinced Pearl would show up uninvited to my wedding and just cause a scene, but thankfully she didn't. After our wedding, Lars and Sadie got engaged. Everyone in the group got an invite except Stephen and me. Whoa, I expected that considering Lars is Pearl's brother. Okay. What I didn't expect was for Pearl and Greg to privately message people asking them not to attend Sadie's wedding because they were uncomfortable. Wait. Oh my gosh. So they asked people to not attend the wedding? Oh my gosh. These people are just miserable. Pearl also made herself the unofficial wedding planner. Wait, someone that didn't want to plan her own wedding was complaining about things and pushing it off on her wedding party wants to be the unofficial wedding planner. Okay. And started making decisions without consulting the couple. For example, she changed the rehearsal dinner from the Mexican restaurant Lars and Sadie loved to an Italian place just because it offered free wine. No, 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 no. The kicker, the reception the next day was also serving Italian food. But I'm also wondering, how do you let someone just change everything? I'm not saying it's them, like their fault, but like when I was planning different things, no one could just call a restaurant. The restaurant would be like, okay, random person I haven't talked to before. They'd be like, oh, is this the bride or groom? No. Okay, then sorry, you can't change it. Plus, the bride or groom is the one that's putting together RSVPs or invites to the rehearsal dinner or texting people. So that's very interesting that they just kind of like let her make all these changes. She also planned a huge, expensive bachelorette weekend when Sadie had just wanted a nice dinner and a video game night. While we weren't invited to the wedding itself, Stephen and I were invited to the after party. I chose not to go. I had no doubt Pearl would cause a scene. She says, so maybe take some creative license and show what would have happened if I had gone. Thanks again. I left out a bunch of little details, but feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Oh my gosh. It never ceases to amaze me when people just can't take accountability themselves. From the beginning, it sounds like this girl wanted nothing to do with her wedding. And instead of hiring someone to help her, she decided to put it all on her wedding party. Now, I've seen a lot of weddings and I've been a part of a lot of weddings where the wedding party helps put everything together. But that's been like known from the beginning. And it's a team effort, right? You can't just be like bride putting your feet up and expecting everyone to do everything around you. You have to be very clear with communication. And it sounds like this girl from the beginning was just unhappy and just wanted to complain about things. So that's terrible. Oh my gosh, that was a crazy story.